Dana White recently announced that there's another fight in the UFC 300 card, and this time he announced that it will be Jessica Andrade taking on Marina Rodriguez. And I am upset and depressed because of this fight and all other fights on this card. Genuinely not depressed because of just Gaethje and Max Holloway fight, but since I know what the result will probably be, so that's why I am a little bit upset and depressed about that fight too, because it will be like Max won't get knocked out, but he will take some very high level of punishment and Max will never be the same again. But my depression is mainly because of these fights, which are just filler fights in a card which is special. Now I get the argument that many people say that UFC 300 is just the same as UFC 299. It is not different because like it's just number. It's just a different number. But I kind of do not agree with it. The reason is simply because it's the UFC that promotes these events as once in a decade. UFC 100, they had Brock Lesnar, they had GSP. UFC 200, they had Brock Lesnar, they had Daniel Cormier about to fight with John Jones, although he ended up fighting Anderson Silva. So UFC hypes these events where this is like once in a decade fight. So do not get that argument that we should not get hyped up just because UFC 300 is similar to UFC 299. No, it's not. So I feel like UFC is trying to keep these filler fights in this card, and I totally do not like that. And people think that, mixed martial arts YouTubers, they just talk about these things about these fights, and they actually represent a very, 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 like the main fight fans of the community. The reason is that we say the things that these promotions and these like Ariel Hawani or these top YouTubers, I mean not YouTubers but top industry companies won't ESPN won't say you that this card is trash. So we represent the fans, so we tell you this fight card is actually trash. You know why? Because I wanted UFC 300 to have some fights. I mean, I'm not expecting GSP versus Khabib. I'm not expecting some great comeback. I don't think Brock Lesnar is going to come back in UFC anytime soon. So the thing is that I want some fights that are meaningful. I don't want filler fights. And I kind of get the idea like why people are upset. Three women fight in such a historic fight card. Yes, I mean, I don't like women. I mean, oh my goodness, I like women fights. I don't hate it. I mean, sometimes we need breaks in between watching the fight, and they are. I mean, I like women fights, and I sometimes take breaks in between the fights. So there has to be one or two women fight in the UFC any fight card, but three fights, and especially like this fight, Jessica Andrade versus Marina Rodriguez, which could have easily been placed into the UFC Brazil card, which is UFC 301. So I don't know about that. I don't know what kind of matchmaking is that, and especially like this will be some type of contenders fight. So I don't know. Maybe they could have planned it better. And another day they announced Holly Holmes versus Kayla Harrison. I don't even know Kayla Harrison can make 135 pounds, and Kayla Harrison was a great champion in the PFL. But like, I mean, I don't want to see this fight. I mean, Holly Holm is like 42 years old, and what she did, she just knocked out Ronda Rousey. That's why she has all the hype, and I get that. That was a great fight, but that was like 9 years ago. So please don't push these type of fighters in such a historic card. They are good, but their time has passed. And yes, women fights are good, but just to take breaks in between the fight. I do not. I'm not saying that I don't watch women fight. I watch women fight, but one fight are interesting, not not very enjoyable, let me be honest. And we do take breaks when we watch fights, because it's like six six to 10 fights we watch in the prelims and early prelims, and then 5 fights in in the main event. So it's good to take breaks in between. But the thing is, like, I'm just kidding. I mean, actually I like Zhang Weili versus Yan Xiaonan, and that's a very good fight. I believe so. But I know, I mean, we know what will happen. Zhang Weili is going to dominate Yan Xiaonan, and the other fight is like Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway, and we already know what will happen. Max Holloway will not get knocked out, because like Max Holloway has this crazy chin. Like Dustin Poirier didn't knock him out, even though I think Justin Gaethje is a problem in terms of knocking someone out. But the thing is, like, I think that this is going to be a very rough fight for Max Holloway, and it would be Tony Ferguson 2.0. Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje 2.0, where Max Holloway will take a huge amount of punishment and his career will be changed forever. So that's why I hate this. I hate this card in general. And just a couple of good fights like Charles Oliveira versus Benoit. No, Charles Oliveira versus Arman Sarukian. So this is the fight that I'm really interested in. I think this will be a very good fight. And apart from that, I really don't like this fight card. And I think in a way, I believe this is not what we wanted. And UFC 300 should have had some legendary fights, even though not title fights. It should have some legendary fights, and some on, if not legendary fights, it should have some meaningful fights. And that's what is giving me a little bit of depression. I mean, I've just heard that Jurgen Klopp, he will leave Liverpool this year. So that is adding pain to my depression. So pain and depression going hand in hand. I mean, we should have one good fight in the UFC 300. I mean, one good fight which I like as a main event, and one legendary fight. One good fight, like a title fight, and I mean, like, there's a title fight, but real title fight, and the other one is a legendary fight. I want these two things. Like, legendary fight is like someone coming back from retirement, or even not from retirement, or just like a huge superstar. I mean, I've seen the trailer of Roadhouse the other day, and I don't think Conor McGregor is going to come back, because that I think that film will be a huge success. It will be a huge success. I mean, I just saw the trailer, and Conor McGregor actually looked very amazing in that trailer. So I think Conor McGregor is not coming back anytime soon, because that film will lead him to have very high amount of fortune, because I think he's going to have more options in terms of his acting career, and he's not going to come back in UFC anytime sooner. Even though Chandler wants him bad in the UFC, I mean, he said that he's going to come in June 29th, but I don't really know, because that trailer changed my opinion. Like, I think he's going to become a very good actor. So this is my opinion. I really don't like this UFC 300 fight card, and I hope they change it. I hope they make some good changes in it. That's it. That's what we do in this channel. We talk about UFC, mixed martial arts, and sometimes we talk about football. So if you like such type of content, please like, share, and subscribe.